Okay, part 3. I did 1 and 2. I did part 1 was on the rear wheel trikes, part 2 is on the front wheel trikes, and I'm just going to do a little summary now as part 3, just to pick up on a few things I missed and clarify a few things, I suppose. As far as, comparison, advantages, well, rear wheel trike certainly does have some. It's less complicated. Not to say that it isn't difficult to manufacture a trike with the wheels in the back. You've got the frame assemblies, you've got your A-frames, shock springs, whatever you use for suspension. There is some wheel alignment that has to be done, especially on the ones that are independent rear suspension. There isn't much you can do, I don't think, on the straight axle. But I think Harley's the only one that does straight axle of the major brands, But, so it is less complicated from the mechanical standpoint. It might be a little more involved when it comes to the body work. Highway stability is a little bit better. Going straight down the highway because of the way the area pressure behind the center of balance. So it's going to be slightly better going on the highway. And the rear wheel trike is, it's kind of like Harley Davidson is a brand. So people buy the brand even though there's other bikes that might be better. So people will pay more even though they're getting less, which is weird, but that's the way things work. Disadvantages, well, obviously less stable. The ride is not near as good. You've got a motorcycle tire up front that's costly and is not going to wear very well, because you're forcing it outside its design limits. They just ride harsher in general, and the steering's kind of goofy, really it is. So there's some disadvantages there too. You're not going to get the tire mileage, that's for sure. On the back tires you probably will, but from all the accounts I've seen, most people are running way too much pressure on the back tires, but there's a reason for that, and it has to do with the perceived liability. Most trike manufacturers think if you go below 20 pounds or 26 pounds, that the tire is going to fly off the rims. Of course, Can-Am recommends 12 pounds of pressure in their front tires, so what that tell you, they're more stable. There's no doubt they're more stable, especially where you need it the most, which is downhill, braking, turning. They are more stable. 3-car tires, you're going to get 45,000 miles. All 3 tires combined cost about as much as the one motorcycle front tire on a regular trike. So great advantage as far as the financial offset. Plus they ride better. I mean, you're running 15 pounds of pressure in the front, 26 in the back. They just float down the road. So it's much better ride. They're much better off the tar roads. You can take these things down gravel, down dirt roads, as long as it's not, rocks and ruts and stuff like that. I take them out all the time. I've got videos. In fact, first thing in spring, I'm taking mine down the rustic roads in Wisconsin. And most of those are gravel, dirt. Some of them they've got the sign on it where they're not maintained, minimum maintenance roads. You're not going to see people with back wheel trikes charging down gravel roads and stuff unless they absolutely have to. These things, it's just fun. It's just fun doing that. The ride is much softer. It's got a streamlined design. As I mentioned before, you try to keep the pressure wave in the front at its minimum. So you've got the open design with a more sleek looking design to it. So they cut through the wind better. So your mileage is slightly better. I'm not going to say it's like astronomically better, or like most people on the message board say, I can't believe the difference. It's slightly better, okay? It's still gonna drop mileage compared to two-wheel. There's no way around that. In general, the only thing about the front wheel trikes, and I guess that's why nobody else is doing them, is it is more complex. And it's not like a car where you just use the exact same geometry. There's some differences, and they do make a difference. It makes a difference between it working and not working. And, not to sound arrogant, because I don't really want to do that, but no one's figured it out. I'm the only guy who's figured it out. That's why I have the patent. That's why I was the first one. That's why I'm basically the only one doing this. And that's why mine work. Can-Am, they figured it out. And when it comes to the geometry and the layout and the dimensions, even though we were independent, Can-Am, I'm sure, didn't look at what I was doing, because they came out before I did anyway. And I'd never really looked at Can-Am until recently, when I had a chance to do an alignment. I checked the dimensioning, and I'm within a ½ inch all the way around. So we both came up with the same strategies and theories and dimensioning, so maybe I was just lucky. But anyway, that is the end of part 3. And if you have any comments or you disagree, agree, put it in the comments. I'll listen, because I'm not always right. There was a time when I thought I was right, but I was mistaken. So yeah, go ahead and comment. Just keep it civil, and I'm willing to listen. And most of I'd say a good fair amount of the improvements that I've made throughout the years has been from people saying, why don't you do it this way? Or you're doing it wrong, do it this way. And a lot of them were really minor, but they made a lot of sense. And in the end of it all, it's great. Constructive criticism is a wonderful thing. So go ahead, put her in the comments, and I'm going to move on to bigger and better things. Well, I'll go home and have supper. That'll work. All right, catch you later.